welcome to our new podcast, Indie as Fuck, where we have raw, unfiltered conversations about fashion design, business, and everything they didn't tell us in fashion school. Fashion school, fashion school, fashion school. Everything they didn't tell us in school, fashion school, fashion school. In Indie as Fuck, fashion school, fashion school, fashion school. Like, comment, and subscribe. Fashion school, fashion school.
Hey, honey. Now let's get into the tea.
Accountability.
Accountability.
Yeah.
Accountability as entrepreneurs, but most importantly,
Uh-huh.
accountability as designers.
Yes.
Are we still making excuses? However, this will not be a beatdown podcast. We are definitely here to inspire. But I do want to start this podcast off with a quote that I found. And basically, it said, leaders inspire accountability through their ability to accept responsibility before they place blame.
Mm-hmm.
And then they didn't even put like who said it. So we're going to
Really?
put dash unknown.
Period.
How y'all feel about that?
I had to read it a few times to really understand like what it was saying. After I understood it, I took it as an LLL, not an LLL, LLL, as in three L's.
Okay.
All right.
Okay, bitch.
Come on, Pastor, lay it down.
It's acronym for lifelong learnables. That quote,
I like that.
and it was a lifelong learnable. I learned that from camp. I used to be a camp counselor. Shout out North Carolina, Camp
Period.
Canoga. But lifelong learnables are just quotes or just wisdom phrases that you could use not only in a particular thing, but just for any situation. And that quote, you could use that like for any situation.
Absolutely.
Almost like a lifestyle.
I got it. As soon as I read that, I was like, oh, honey, I didn't know exactly what that means.
Mhm.
Because it's like, before you go to say, well, why this is not happening, why that is not happening, what did you not do?
Mhm.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
You like before it's like, I'm really big on accountability, and I know when I'm not doing what I shouldn't be doing or whatever like that.
Right.
But it's like, okay, well, honey, look, girl, you can't be complaining so bad, sis. You ain't doing everything you should be doing.
No, I like it. I think it is definitely a sting in the ass, but
It
not
is.
like a sting in the ass where you have to do you have to think the worst of your situation. I just think it's one of those things where you're saying you just kind of look at your situation. Maybe you think about some of the things you're complaining about, some of the things you don't have, and you're just like, well, damn. But before you go to say, well, this is the reason why I don't have this, and this is the reason why I don't have that, you do a lot of self observation.
Right.
You feel me? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's important, especially you was about to say something?
No, I was just gonna say, yeah, but it's I feel like it's very important. I know me, I have it bad where, I'm my own worst critic. I will beat myself in my head. I'd be like, girl, you know better than that. You this and this and that. But it's like, girl, just give yourself some grace. You know what you did. You know what you didn't do, girl. Just start, come on, regroup, reset, and do what you need to do.
That's right. So my question is, um, I think accountability as an entrepreneur, I want to kind of go back to the beginning. I think it's important for people to understand why you even chose the path that you chose. So like,
Right.
what do y'all feel? What made you become an entrepreneur?
I know I hate working for other people. I'm gonna just be honest. I do not like it. I hate it.
Girl,
I'm not
sis, don't, girl.
I don't.
Listen.
How many jobs I had since you know what I
Girl,
mean?
too goddamn many.
Listen, I'm like call Ashontay. I'm like, Ashontay, it ain't working,
my-
sis. You like, well, girl, I mean, I don't gave you a week or two. I know it wasn't gonna last.
Right.
No,
No.
because I'm not a clock puncher. I don't like that whole idea of, having it, hey, I'm gonna go to the restroom. Hey, can I get time off? Or let me do this and do that. And it's okay. Like, everybody is not, some people are workers and some people are meant to be, leaders and entrepreneurs.
Right.
And I know that I am an entrepreneur. It does not work when I work for anybody. I don't care if I had like a job making, I don't know, well, $1 million salary. I don't want to be there. That's the thing. I'm not fulfilled.
Like you
Mhm.
said,
So-
some people are good cases.
Yeah, so it's just like I am fulfilled. As hard as it is being an entrepreneur, I would take this over punching in somebody's clock.
Yeah. Like you were saying, like some people are meant to be leaders, which I feel like I was definitely born to be a leader and having, many gifts along with being
Mhm.
a designer, like having that make room for me. And then just wanting a certain lifestyle, knowing that I want to live a certain lifestyle, I feel is what led me to, actually dive into being an entrepreneur, itself, period.
And when you say a certain lifestyle, it's kind of like, when a shark tastes blood, it's kind of like as an entrepreneur, when you taste that like first big sale, you're like, don't I made
Mhm.
this.
Hmm.
And then, you've been on record on the job for a week or two.
So this is I think my interesting take on entrepreneurship. I
Mm,
absolutely love being an entrepreneur, hands down.
mm,
But I always felt like I was. So you ever heard of the 98% and the 2%, right?
mm,
Hmm.
You got the 98% of people, which is majority of a lot of people,
Yeah.
and then you got those 2%. Your Bill Gates, your
mm,
whatever. And so I always like to think of myself in the 2%, and I always felt like whether I work for someone
Hmm.
or I work for myself, the level that I'm trying to reach with like my personal business, I will be doing that in a company.
Company. Hmm.
You
I
get
get
what
what
I'm
you're saying,
saying?
like
Like
trying to
I
reach
feel
mm,
to the
like
top.
I would just excel. Whatever job I worked at, I always had the goal of just kind of like I want the top. Like bitch, I want the stove.
Hmm.
Like I don't want to be
Yeah, yeah,
department manager ain't good enough. But for me, I knew that the only way that I would be able to truly be my own boss was to be
mm,
an entrepreneur. I would still have to essentially answer to somebody and all that, which is not wrong with that. But I think
mm,
for me, it's always been like, how they say sky's the limit. Like I always was like told myself it's like the sky is not the limit. Like you can really go past that, right? Sounding
yeah,
crazy, but it's
yeah.
like insane, but it's like nah, like ain't nobody gonna stop me. And I felt like entrepreneurship was where there were no boundaries. Like
Hmm.
you
mm.
created
Hmm.
all the boundaries
Like
You
I
needed.
made
had
the
to
rules.
find that space of
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurship, because growing up, like I said, with having gifts and talents and coming from a Christian background, honestly, like you don't think to pursue your gifts and talents, what God gave you, to make a career out of it. But I feel by me moving out of my hometown and coming to Atlanta and experiencing,
Mm-hmm.
not only design in itself, but experiencing like life and having to, make a way for myself,
Mm,
and along with not being able to be satisfied on somebody's job, along with not being paid enough, like I figured out, I had to find out, like I can do this from home. I can make more money. I can be
Mm-hmm.
satisfied,
mm.
being
Mm-hmm.
happy
Mm-hmm.
doing what it is that I want to do.
So what does being an entrepreneur mean to you? Like
Um,
based off of what we've
mm-hmm.
experienced
Hmm.
kind of now.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
For me, being an entrepreneur is like freedom, but at the same time, it can be, for me, I feel like you can become a slave to it if you don't get time management and discipline down pat.
Mm-hmm.
Be a slave to just running after the money. Like I need to make this money, I need to make this money, I need to do this, I need to do that. And you can become trapped in this entrepreneur circle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's hard to like break free out of that mindset. But then it's like, okay, true freedom, let yourself go and have an idea, execute what that idea is at that moment, and see what a road leads you. So I mean, for entrepreneurship, I look at it as freedom. I look at it as me making a way for myself in this life.
I like that.
And then doing things I've never seen done before in my family.
Hmm.
Because I'm coming from a traditional black Christian background. Everybody work.
Mm-hmm.
You say you want to go to school to be a designer. Like what? Why you what? A fashion designer?
Hmm.
Like you need to go and be a nurse or a doctor or something like that. So it's kind of like you're forging your own path, going down like a blind road, no guidance really, and you just like making your own way. But it's not always like that for me, because I have friends like y'all to lean on that are doing it, and
Hmm.
friends that are more ahead than me, so I can use that as a guide to like, okay, well, if she can do it, if he can do it, I know I can do it
Mm-hmm.
too.
I feel like it's Being an entrepreneur is like applying action
Mhm.
towards anything that you are like doing, and for me, I'm applying action that actually benefits, society in a sense.
Mhm.
That kind of keeps the wheels turning, almost like just yeah, like building an organization, like having a process.
So do y'all think that being an entrepreneur is kind of like a fad now? Like like it's the new
It
like
can
it
be.
thing. You get what I'm saying? Like everybody is like,
Everybody want to do it, but you know what? I think that a lot of people, our generation, is just simply fed up. We are not staying on jobs for 10, 15 years that we simply don't like.
I feel like it's
I agree.
misunderstood and taken out of context. So the
It
people who
can.
do understand it have it in a context to where people who don't know it's like kind of hard for
Mm-hmm.
Because
them
I
to
feel
figure it
like
out.
the gift and the curse to what you're saying is that our generation completely lacks discipline. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that we are in that generation of I want it quick, I want it fast.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I
Microwave.
would rather you get what I'm saying? I want to pretend that I have it more so than actually having it. I think that the journey is just not as important as it was for the people
Hmm.
before us, the
Yeah.
people that we aspire to
Hmm.
be like.
Hmm.
And I feel like for me, that's what I try to think about the most. Like,
It's different
it's the
now. The
journey.
lingo, even with you saying that, a conversation I remember, how I was telling you about the Andre Leon Talley video,
Mm-hmm.
and I was, yeah, Corey was asking me, he was like, "You like this, like this?" I was like, "Yeah, it's very, very inspiring." But the thing that I hate most is like people don't have this same type of passion and
Mm-hmm.
understanding about, for this particular thing, fashion anymore, for people like us to, I don't know, be recognized, for lack of a better
Mm-hmm.
phrase. So like
Mm-hmm.
that misunderstanding how things are different with the young generation not being disciplined, like that's really a thing. Like,
And I feel like the with the internet, social media, I feel like it can be a big illusion. It may give out the image, the illusion like you can, put this out and you're going to instantly become a millionaire and people chasing after
Mm-hmm.
this thing. But it can happen for you that way. But I mean, it's rare, but it's like the grind. It's kind of like they took, like, it's a big puzzle and they took the process part of it out of it, removed that part and went straight to the
Exactly.
rewarding part.
Exactly.
And you missing that real big major step. So you thinking like you looking at other people's stuff and like, dang, how did they just do that? But
But
it's
see, that's
like,
the thing, not to cut you off,
yeah.
but because you just said that
Mm-hmm.
people, the problem is our generation see the process as a step.
Mm-hmm.
Do you get what I'm saying? And the process isn't a step.
it's
The
steps in the
process
process.
is like the journey. Like when you actually get to everywhere that
What you
you
saying?
you wanted to go and all that kind of stuff. What do you talk about on your TED talk? The journey.
Yeah.
Hmm.
What are you talking about when you're going back, trying to inspire students and stuff?
Right, right.
You're always talking about the journey. And I just feel like there is not enough emphasis on what it actually takes to become a designer, let alone, or even just not even that, what it actually takes to be an entrepreneur, to then become a CEO, company owner or whatever, because entrepreneur is the beginning. You get what I'm saying? That's you with your idea.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when you start to have a board? That's the next level. Do you get what I'm saying? It's
Mm-hmm.
not entrepreneurship anymore.
Right,
That's where
right.
we're trying to go with building a brand. Some people aspire to kind of just stay where we are. They like freelancing. But I
Hmm.
just feel like the goals gotta it's not a fad. That's just how I feel about it. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something like it's not I feel like everybody is like, I'm a big boss, I'm a CEO, I do this, I do that. And I just feel like we just got to stop doing that because it's a lot more. Matter of fact, I'll put it, leveling up is expensive. That's something I actually
Mm-hmm.
read today. And I said it to you today in the car. We was just talking about it, and I was
Hmm.
like, that's just the realest thing that I ever read today.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Like leveling up is expensive. The boss, the CEO that you want to become,
Hmm.
there's a price for that.
Hmm.
You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like it really is a price to call yourself a coach. It's the price to call yourself a master of something in this business. Do you get what I'm saying? And I
Right.
feel like we just got to do our due diligence and put a
Mm-hmm.
little bit more lead work in.
And
That's
I
just where
feel
I'm at.
like in entrepreneurship, it's kind of like too. what are you willing to sacrifice to get to where you're trying to go? Like, what are you willing to give up? Because I feel like another thing, like with entrepreneurship that we see a lot now, nobody wants to give up anything. Everybody still wants to party, you still wants to do this and that. But when you leveling up, it's expensive. You make sacrifices in your personal life, and I mean, I feel like across the board, and it's kind of like, okay, to get one what I want to be at and where I must go, because it's not an option for me. I can't. I'm too deep in to turn around.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm too deep in, so it's like the biggest thing is just like being disciplined and willing to sacrifice something.
And that, oh, go ahead.
The word for me that's sticking out is consistency. The word has just
Mm-hmm.
always been consistency. I think
Mm-hmm.
about like internet, like social media stars. One that popped in my head, blaming on KWTT,
Mm-hmm.
how
Mm-hmm.
he started off like just doing, just doing regular funny videos, start off and not really having like a plan or a brand
Yeah.
or a process behind him. But even after getting noticed, reaching that level, as you would say, like leveling up,
Mm-hmm.
that was his opportunity to show like how you gonna level up in this,
Mm-hmm.
this situation. But I say that to say I feel like too a lot of people who has became entrepreneurs overnight through social media, what have you. A lot of people don't share their truth about the struggle of becoming an entrepreneur or what it is that it took to get
Mm-hmm.
there, because some people think it is just that fantasy of
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
overnight, this thing is
Mm-hmm.
gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
But even with the things that look like overnight, those people have been doing it for
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 years.
For
years,
years.
when people wasn't even didn't even know who they were doing it. You
And
know what I
isn't that
mean?
a fucking privilege? Like, do
Yeah.
you get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like, I just don't think that our generation realizes how privileged we are to
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
access, just access, the type of assets that we have right now. And
Hmm.
it's just, y'all, when you were talking about sacrifices, you know what I was thinking about?
Mm-hmm.
Sacrifices is one thing, but investments is another one.
Yeah, it
How
is.
much investment or investing,
Hmm.
sorry, are you willing to do to level up? Because that's expensive as well. And I
Mm-hmm.
just kind of feel like that's the huge part that's missing. When I see a lot of people ranting and raving on Facebook or
Mm-hmm.
whatever, sharing their grievances about their business and stuff, a lot of the times I be playing the violin because I feel like at some point you have to look at your situation and all the things around, and even though they are uncomfortable, like people not sharing your post, that's a part of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
That shit has to eventually not affect you. Do you get what I'm saying? Or you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna
Right.
be
Right.
writing posts every time you think you make a big gown
Mm-hmm.
and people don't do what you want them to do. Like
Mm-hmm.
you still not
Hmm.
understanding its algorithm. You know what I'm saying? Like you blaming stuff on family members that
Yeah,
ain't
but
got
it's
nothing to
nothing to
do
do
with
with because they
Right.
may
them.
have not even seen it.
Exactly.
Right.
That
Like those were the
the
things that my business taught me. Like the leveling up. And it was like small because I remember being pissed off. Like I have posts. They be coming up in my memories. And I just like it's a
Hmm.
damn shame you used to go in like that.
Right. Right.
Expecting people to do whatever or just your expectations for yourself that were not even realistic to
Yep.
your current
mm-hmm.
situation.
Yep, like for me, like having trying to be so perfect, and for me, my idea of perfect is was what it is that I saw, just going through school, growing up, looking in the magazines of
Yeah,
showing this
it's a
perfect
flaw in here
picture,
again.
showing
Mm-hmm.
this perfect picture. Damn,
I thought you called her.
It's the whole fly here, y'all. I'm
I
so sick
seen
of
it,
her.
girl.
Y'all
Leave me
know
Ooh.
we in
alone.
Georgia. We in Georgia,
And
and
the
these
and the bugs are very disrespectful and rude.
and what you not gonna do is play us. But what
Mm-hmm.
you what you
It wants some of this wine, girl. No,
That's what it is,
get your
smoking this
own
wine.
glass.
But no, 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 just painting this perfect picture, trying to paint this perfect picture of the idea of what I thought
Mm-hmm.
should have been, seen. Um, but over the years, just me learning, the new ways of marketing and social media algorithms, which I'm still like trying to get, getting the hang
They used to be
of.
me though.
Like, bitch,
Mm-hmm.
you can post a picture of a dress you did like a year ago, like,
Yeah.
because, like you said, like, it's just shit probably wasn't even seen by nobody at all.
Let me tell you something. Perfection causes delay. Literally, that's the exact thing that came to my head.
That's
And
good.
Mhm.
it came to my head because I remember all the times like I would literally be like, I want to do this, I want to do that, or
Mhm.
whatever. But then I'll start doing exactly what you used to do. I would see something, I'll see maybe, let's say, Ashley Stewart or somebody release the collection. So
Mhm.
then I get stuck on it has to look like that. That's at least
Yeah.
the standard.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
then I got to figure out, well, how am I going to get that? How can I? It was just so many variables to the point that it just ended up not happening. And I know I've talked to a lot of people who experienced this where it's like your idea of perfection is keeping you from doing your collection.
Yep.
It's keeping you from delivering. It's
Mhm.
keeping you from like literally moving forward. And I just feel like it's no real way to actually get out of that, but just literally to do it. And it just goes
Mhm.
back to consistency.
Mhm.
Like just think about like samples. How do you feel about like sample? Like why do you think sample dresses are important?
Um, to see how it does, to see how it fits.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the fit of it. If you need to make changes to it, maybe see how it goes.
Exactly.
Yeah. See.
I
Yeah.
think that's one perspective, right?
Mhm.
But what if we looked at sample dresses as a way to establish your workflow?
Mhm.
Because think about it. How many designers do you know are struggling just with their day to day activities?
Mhm.
Mhm.
Day to day activities.
Mhm.
Literally. And then they'll have a sample dress, but struggle to finish it.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And so then you think about time management. Just it's so many variables that go into that thing. But think about it. If you can't finish that sample dress, what the hell really make you think you're gonna finish 50 paid orders? And
Yeah.
that is the biggest
Right.
misconception.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So it's like, or matter of fact, I just want to see what y'all think about that.
Mhm.
Cause y'all not gonna go on a tangent.
Right. Right. I mean, like for me, even with a workflow, um, I still get off track because there's emergency. There's the things you don't really consider
Right.
happening, or not with your clients per se. Or I'll go as far as to say not even with your business, but like with your life,
Mhm.
period. With yourself. But I just feel like sure. What was I trying to say? I was talking about workflow. What was the question that you asked about it?
Oh
How
no,
do
I
we
just
feel?
oh
Yeah, yeah. How do
Go
we feel
ahead.
about like if you can't
It
complete a
just this
sample, how you
one.
gonna fulfill these 50
right,
orders?
like
And it's
instead of
kind of
looking at it as
like,
just what you were
yeah,
saying,
it
the
just,
initial things which are important,
yeah.
Mhm.
and you list those again.
I said time management, discipline, sacrificing. And the
No, that
thing,
ain't what you
what
said,
I
but we were
said.
talking about why do you think sample dresses it's important to
Oh,
do sample dresses?
oh, important. So you see, the fit of it. See if you want to make changes to it. If
Right.
whatever that fabric is, it doesn't even work. For what you, because we can come up with a design and then you actually put it on somebody and it don't even really work.
Right,
Right.
right.
It's like, okay, then I'm gonna scrap that. But
Mm-hmm.
the thing is, the thing about leveling up, we ask God for greater. And this is what I want. We tell God, this is what I want. But the thing is, if He give it to you now, can you handle that?
Mm-hmm.
Will you be able to deliver?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And what will it? And what will be the? What will happen if you don't deliver? So.
I mean, I think the results, the results that whatever the results you may feel
Mhm.
in the moment are exactly what happens when, let's say, like for me, I feel like when I ask God for more, the back end or what God is going to challenge me to do is to actually walk in whatever it is that I asked him for.
Mhm.
So I really remember like asking for orders, right? Like I drop a collection and I swear I probably still like 10 orders, y'all.
Mhm.
Whole goddamn month. I told you I remember the whole year when I dropped my very first collection. I thought I had sold a lot of orders and it was only 40 orders for like the whole entire year. And at that time I
Mhm.
wasn't selling like
Mhm.
$300 pieces or none of
Mhm.
that shit. Like they were very low. So it was like essentially I ain't make no money. But what I recognized was that I lost my damn train of thought. Y'all
Mhm.
lost my train of thought.
But I think it's this wine. I leave on
It
blaming
is the
this
wine.
wine.
This shit gave me
But you
start
know
laughing
what?
so hard. What
I,
was I talking about though? Because I was going to make a good ass point.
about.
Hey Indies, I'm Shantress Sade. If you want to learn more about me and my brand, you can follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Shantress_Sade. And you can also follow me on Facebook at Shantress Sade. And of course, I have a website, honey. It is www.shantressade.com.
who
Okay.
are like you right
So
now. Do you
yeah,
get what I'm saying?
yeah. So
Like,
like the old process, the day come, it's a new day. Now the day of, I'm writing down what I need to do today, that day. I feel like then when the day go on, okay, I do this and I do that. I'm not as disciplined as strict, but I am
Mhm.
doing some of the things on the list. Oh, okay, well, I ain't get to that day, so I do that tomorrow, whatever like that. And that does not work.
and I do feel like that's easy for a lot of people though, because I
Yeah.
sometimes still can do that. Oh, I ain't get to that day. I'll just do it tomorrow.
Yeah,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I feel like it
Mhm.
becomes that just the start of a bad habit. Is I'll
Mm-hmm.
just do that tomorrow. Like, no, you need to do it today, and you're gonna do it, or you don't go to sleep. You need to do that today. And I feel like waking up the day of and getting your list together, what needs to be done, your to do list is the wrong day. That should have been done at the beginning of the week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what I need to do. This is what I'm doing on Monday. This is what I'm doing on Tuesday, and this is what it's gonna be.
Mhm.
But hey, I just feel like the things I still have some of the same old stuff that I do, but it just needs some tweaking. So the new process is, you know, plan out my day earlier and get my day started by walking, work, exercise. I use that time to just to get my mind right, get my blood and everything flowing and everything moving, and then going about doing my tasks for the day.
Can we talk a little bit about planning though? Because I
Yeah.
was literally talking to Kwame the other day,
Mhm.
and I was telling him like you'll be surprised how many people do not actually write out, and everybody plans differently. But I
Mhm.
mean, literally, the fear of sitting your ass down on some old school shit and writing out what it is that you just physically feel like you can do, can't do,
Mhm.
want to get done, whatever
Mhm.
that thing
Oh, what's
is.
priority? What's
Do
Mhm.
you get what I'm
not?
saying? What's
Yeah.
priority, what's not?
Mhm.
I do feel like that literally is a fear for some people. Sometimes actually seeing their list
Mhm.
Mhm.
on paper is intimidating, or there's a lot of reasons. You know what I
I
mean?
think that it's important to first have a calendar,
Mm-hmm.
some sort of calendar, whether it's on your phone, on your wall. For me, I
Absolutely.
got all the stuff everywhere, write stuff down everywhere. But to have a calendar and just talk about myself, I've gotten to the point to where I'm like 2 weeks, ahead of myself when it comes to what I'm doing that
Mhm.
day. Um, and even still, it don't always go to plan because because I do alterations and stuff like that, and people could come
Mm-hmm.
in. Like I still allot that time in
Mhm.
my scheduling, like for emergencies or alterations per se, not just emergencies. But just having that calendar, and I feel like that just allows you, like you said, see what it is that you're doing. Another thing that I do is even with planning out those weeks ahead, I make me a to-do list the night before. I prioritize and tell myself like, because even though we got a whole bunch of stuff that we
Mhm.
could be working on that we could do tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
like which we know we not gonna get it all done. So make a list and make you a checkoff box, and that's pretty much how I get
Yeah,
my
I think it's
day done.
definitely always gonna be a list priority for me.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, I still consider Sundays to be my planning days. And I think I started that probably just a few years ago. But for me, I realized or recognized with everything that's going on.
Hmm.
And of course, fashion is one thing, but then when you're trying to really add other things to it, i.e., the podcast or
Mhm.
whatever, you really got to kind of sit down and be like, all right, what the hell do I got going on? Then we got fittings, then we got consultations.
Hmm.
We have so many things that tug and pull at our time.
Hmm.
So I know for me, sitting down one day like the start of the week has worked for me tremendously. Even if I can't accomplish everything, I've had to teach myself not to be overwhelmed by my own list, which is why
Mhm.
I mentioned it earlier. So for me, it's just what can I tackle, and then I prioritize for the week based off the week. Like you prioritize by day, and I prioritize through the week, essentially turning it
Hmm.
into the day.
Hmm.
Shit, what's the most important for this week? Each day the priorities change, but in I have a
Right.
sense of direction. Do you get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
I think that
Sense of
we
direction.
just
That's good.
can't be afraid, yeah, to just give ourselves like, cause think about it. When you work for somebody, you clock in.
Hmm.
Mhm.
What do? You get notes, you have a task list,
Hmm.
or there's
And
somebody
you
telling
get
you
it
what it is
done
that you need to do.
before the day
Mhm.
is over
Well,
with.
unfortunately, in entrepreneurship, because you are the boss, you are the employer, I mean, the associate, you're the
Hmm.
customer service, you're all of these things. you have to be self-disciplined enough to tell yourself,
Mm-hmm.
fuck it, I gotta do it this way
Yeah.
because this is the only way I'll be able to get this shit done.
That's what I want to say too. Like having you can't have a civilian mindset. Like you can't have a customer mindset
You can't.
when you
You
become an
can't.
entrepreneur,
Not
boss.
for yourself. I mean, and if you have that for yourself, if you're already complaining about the things that you have to do, then my thing is you have to reevaluate whether or not you want to be an entrepreneur.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the reality that everybody have to sit with. Okay, if you're gonna do this in this way, guess what? What I realize is that there is no shortcut to the road to success. So literally every single thing that I'm doing right now that annoys the hell out of me, that I don't really care for all that kind of stuff. Like I process, I have no choice but to see it different because I'm like, well, bitch, how are you gonna be this multi-million-dollar business
Yeah.
if like somebody has to do it? And right now I'm
Yeah.
all I got for that thing. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make
And
Yep.
sense?
it's not always gonna be this way. It's
Exactly.
Yeah.
not.
It's not always
So
gonna be
it's
this
like
way.
let me just book it down and do what needs to be done, and so that one day, eventually, sooner, things gonna change, and I
Mm-hmm.
will know what to do, and I'll be instructing someone on what needs to be done instead of
That's
me
right.
physically sitting there doing those tasks.
Right.
You know,
Right.
So I mean, they're just some motivations for me. Just always thinking it won't always be this way.
Mm-mm.
It ain't gonna always be this way.
That talk is good. I can't believe I'm saying this because I've always been a person of, manifestation, speaking life. Hey, Indies, are you interested in becoming a sponsor? Are you looking to grow your brand? Well, just email us at sponsorship@indiefashioncreators.com. Give the fantasy that I talked about entrepreneurs give to people who are trying to become more, more leveling up per se. We use that word. Like, bitch, yeah, I know I'm gonna have people work for me, but that's not the conversation that they need to hear. You like, you need to be, no,
Yep.
bitch, I need to get my ass up at 5 o'clock in the
Mhm.
morning.
Oh,
If
thank
I
you.
know that I need to do such and such and such and such, I need to get myself. I
That was
feel
real. And
Mhm.
bitch, that shit gave
because
me chills.
that
I ain't even
conversation
gonna
will make you
lie.
comfortable. For me, it made me
Mhm.
very, very comfortable, and coming into myself, which I know I've been talking
Mm-hmm.
about it a lot, but like coming into myself, I realized that conversation itself like has to be different. Like I will give that
Because I feel
to
like it creates an illusion and it pacifies you not doing what the fuck you gotta
yeah.
do. Because
Hmm.
of course when somebody say, well, why you were not so and so, you just be like, oh well, I'm gonna have somebody working for me. It's not always gonna be like
No,
Right,
this.
right.
no,
But the thing about it
but you gotta
is
do
Or
you
it.
woe is
have
me,
to
it's just me by
you
myself.
have
That's
to
why I haven't done it for
adapt that
yeah.
shit
Mhm.
immediately. And that's what I think about every time when I don't want to get up, when I
Hmm.
like literally after we finish this podcast, what I said, I gotta get my ass back in there and sew
Hmm.
because at the end of the day, deadlines is deadlines. And it's
Hmm.
like I'm gonna kill myself not completing the deadline or just go back in there and complete
Yeah.
the deadline
Hmm.
tonight. Do you
Mhm.
get what I'm saying? So I
Hmm.
can have a smooth sailing week, but I feel like the illusion of or the way that we pacify um you know not basically being active, not showing up for ourselves
Mhm.
almost. It's like this is what I see it as. Like I
Hmm.
feel like
Making an
when I hear
excuse.
people say, well, I know I ain't gonna be working for myself, or I know I ain't gonna be working by myself, or I know, just whatever it is that alludes to somebody else being in the organization. My whole thing is you can't even get you to do it for you.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Hmm.
It can't get no raw than that.
Hmm.
If you can't get you to do it for you, you can't get me to do it for you. You can't get Quincy,
Mhm.
Shan. You can't get nobody to do it for you, essentially.
Hmm.
But
Mhm.
nobody thinks about that
Hmm.
reality that, like, bruh, we see you not working for
Hmm.
yourself. So why the fuck would I be going? Like, make it make
And
sense.
I just feel like it's you is the reason why you're doing it anyway. So
Mm-hmm.
like having anybody else a part of the thought process. I mean further down the line once you grow on your team, but even thinking moving into wanting to do something, having like the thought of somebody else being there to help you,
Yeah.
or and it's not crazy or weird, I won't say that. It's just, I think it's just hard to it would be hard to kind of have that thought process if you are really passionate about doing this thing for you, because regardless of who or who doing what or who is there, you know what I'm saying, who's there doing what, what you trying to do still got to get done. And if you was gun ho about doing it, like you better believe that shit gonna get
I
done.
was gonna say I feel like I take full accountability for Christian Omisean,
Mm-hmm.
and even in moments where I had to give out, like tasks and stuff that I thought was maybe like whatever, or somebody didn't want to do the task because
Mm-hmm.
of whatever. It's like I had so many moments where it was like, bitch, you sitting here sewing on 1,000 snaps because at the end of the day, the job still got to get done. And it's
Right.
like you can either be like, oh no, blah, 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 whatever, or you just do what it takes. And I feel like I've always just taken full accountability for Christian Omisean, for what we have and for what we don't have. How we chose how we choose to level up, and just not to beat myself up, because it's like self-assessing is never to beat yourself up, but I think that in order for you to take full control of where you're trying to go, you literally have to be fully accountable of like the nastiest shit
Yeah.
for yourself. You
Mm-hmm.
get what I'm saying? So I remember, really going through those, your pictures are ugly. Your pictures are ugly. Your
Mm-hmm.
pictures are ugly. I was told that shit so many times, and I was just like, how many times are they gonna tell you need to hire a photographer before you hire a photographer? Like little
Mhm.
small shit. It ain't always just
Mhm.
workflow and shit like that. I'm talking
Right.
about basic things that designers struggle to do for themselves. And it's if you can, but how many of us have made the excuse of, well, I gotta use what I got or whatever, but you're not investing in your like learning photography or nothing. So it's like you can't look at photography as a maybe thing. Like it's a thing because that's a skill you just you're not going to learn. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mhm.
like for me, I literally felt like I'm going to put my money towards the skills I know I absolutely don't want to do, and I can take money away for the skills that I want to do. So photography was the thing for me, but it could have been makeup for somebody else. But my whole point is like you have to be willing to invest in yourself above, beyond, and it has to be beyond any excuse that you could think of, because at
Mm-hmm.
the end of the day, how do you think Gucci got the Gucci?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mhm.
those things, like those big brand names that we aspire to really be like. Just really think about it.
It's
And
that
then I just had
passion.
to, yeah, it is that passion. And then it's like even like verbalizing things, taking control of not saying, well, I don't want to do that. And I really just don't like doing that. Like even
Yep.
putting it out in the atmosphere, that's not motivating. That's not inspiring. That's
Mm-hmm.
not going to make me want to go do
It's
that
not.
thing.
Mm-hmm.
It is going to make me hate it. And I was like, no, because at the end of the day, this is the part of the process. You can't get like this beautiful piece at the end, but guess what you gotta do to get to that beautiful piece? You gotta do the process.
Mm-hmm.
And this is just simply where I'm at. This is where I'm at, and
Well,
this is
that's
what
what
I
I
gotta
was gonna say.
do.
I do think that how we talk to ourselves is very
Mhm.
important.
Yeah.
I know I used to struggle with that myself. Like I said, I used to do a lot of self comparison. I used to have a lot of self hate with little things. I used to have a lot of like envy on the wrong shit until I really just sat there and was just like, damn, girl, like all these people that you aspiring to look like, actually look at what they're doing and see why they're in the positions that they're in. And you can see a clear ass difference, okay?
Mm-hmm.
You can see a
Mhm.
clear difference, but I feel like for me, it was literally getting in front of all the things that made my hair raise on my neck. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like that's the hard part about being an entrepreneur and being in the field that we're in.
Mm-hmm.
You have to not be afraid to get in front of the stuff that's gonna raise the hair on your neck.
Mm-hmm.
My thing is, if I know that sewing certain things, like I know how I feel about certain things, right? So because I know how I feel about sewing or whatever, I don't want to talk to nobody who is going to dwell in
Mhm.
that spirit of whatever, because I've already processed. I feel like I've come into the level of having a process. No, this is what's required to get the job done, right?
Yeah.
But if you're dealing with someone who's not in that space, you get what I'm saying? It's literally like it's all going back
It
to
kind
how
of
we
takes from
talk.
you.
Exactly. It
Mhm.
takes from, and it's not inspiring to be around, but most importantly, it doesn't feed you. And I
Mhm.
feel like with us having hands-on type of thing, job or whatever, bruh, you got the littlest inspiration that you get to get in that sewing lab. You gotta
Yeah.
take that motherfucker and hold on to that shit all
Mm-hmm.
day.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's a constant battle every single
Every
day,
day.
encouraging
It is.
yourself. even if you got a lot, I'm really big on going to YouTube and looking at inspiration, just listen to somebody, just talk about their journey and just, motivating. It's just like, okay, give me a little
Mm-hmm.
pep, put a little pep in my step
Mm-hmm.
and let me go in there and get this, do it. Like, do what needs to be done.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you can get it from your friends,
Yep.
in anything.
Yeah, your family. Just
Hmm.
Yeah.
just just seeing the passion from other people.
Yeah, and if you
Um,
call somebody and if y'all connected, they know when your cup need to be filled, and they're gonna fill it.
Yeah, but
They
I think it's
can.
also, and I'm glad you actually said that because I literally just had a conversation with someone the other day and I said, this is the only thing about always filling someone's cup that needs to be filled. When it comes to fashion and entrepreneurship, right? Your cup gonna need to be filled so much that people just not gonna want to do that shit no more. Because you have to come to recognize that it falls on you. Like, do you get what I'm
It
saying?
does.
So my whole thing is, if you are constantly not having anything in your cup to put out, especially in this fashion journey, y'all might got fashion friends, y'all might not. I don't think it's fair in friendship. I don't think it's fair when everybody is on the upward trajectory, and I think it's something that it all goes back to self. And I feel like the realest conversation that we could have at the table for everybody is how important it is for you to get to the bottom of your shit, because
mm-hmm.
people are not always
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
gonna be pouring in your cup.
They're not,
And
Mm-hmm.
that's just the
but it's
reality.
like you can't, like, it's not like you every time your cup need to be filled, you just calling somebody and needed them. It's like sometimes you need that little pep. That you need inspiration. So if you're around just negative people, and it's like
And just
if you
because
do need to step outside
to bring it
yourself.
more to reality, it's almost
Mm-hmm.
like a round setting of entrepreneurs or
Mm-hmm.
people just having a conversation. And like, as you see the difference of people, your two percenters or your 98 or your
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
entrepreneurs or your customers, at the table based off the conversation, whether it's negative, not
Yeah.
negative, but just
Like it was,
not on the
yeah.
terms of, entrepreneurship. Just a just different type of conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and that too could cause a damper in your start of the day if it's a different type of conversation, not necessarily negative,
Because
but
my
just a
thing is,
different
like,
type of
I don't think there's
conversation.
anything wrong with pouring in anybody's cup, right? That's what friendship is and all that. But I do think that when it comes to entrepreneurship,
Hmm.
people, that's all people are looking for. Like, that's literally the rat race of entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
How much can I take from you, take from you, take from you, take from you to
And
get where I'm trying to go at sale or
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
whatever? So
Hmm.
everybody's going from cup to cup to cup to cup to cup.
Hmm.
And I just kind of feel like, while that is all fine and good, there has to you have to just come to a certain level, which is where I feel like I am, which is only why I'm speaking from this space.
Mm-hmm.
I've gone through the level of pouring into people's cups so much, but I've also feel like I've come to the level that I've poured in so many cups. I just feel like, who's pouring back in my cup? Like, do you get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying?
Hmm.
Um, to the point where it's like you get tired of having the same conversations. You get tired of giving people the same pep talks about the same exact thing. You get tired of literally you're saying the same thing, and I see it in my own group. You're having to literally give people water in their cup about dropping the collection,
Hmm.
about, and let's talk about fashion because it's a fashion podcast.
Mm-hmm.
You got to get them water in their cup about dropping the collection, about finding their target audience, about figuring out their own brand aesthetic, all that shit. And what did I tell you the other day? I said, I feel like at the end of the day, regardless of what you want to do in fashion, it's still gonna go back to you. Like,
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
it's still
Because you
gonna
got
go
to
back to
figure all of
you.
that out.
And
Mm-hmm.
nobody, like, I feel like a lot of people refuse to sit down when you say, what's your brand aesthetic? When you say, like, your why goes back to
To you.
you.
Hmm.
So when you need to be inspired, you need somebody to pour in your cup. Guess what the fuck we talking about? What's your why?
Mm-hmm.
What inspired you?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Why are you, like, who your target
Right.
audience?
Mm-hmm.
What's your brand aesthetic? How
Hmm.
many times can we talk about the same thing when I see
Hmm.
you're refusing to literally figure out your own motherfucking why? Like,
Hmm.
do you get what I'm saying? So again, if you can't do it for you, and that's my
That's good.
thing,
Hmm.
like, I know that you're probably gonna drag me about this, but I don't give a fuck because I feel like this. I poured in a lot of cups. I'm still pouring in cups, but I feel like as a two percenter, you got 98% of people and you got to pour in this cup, You got to teach this cup how to do a zipper. You got to teach this cup what her brand aesthetic is. You got to teach this cup how to do a collection. And she been trying, like, it's so.
Mm-hmm.
But who is pouring in the cup of the person that's pouring out? And I
Right.
feel like the person that's pouring out is, guess what? The person who's accepted full responsibility. And look at a lot of the people in the groups. I'm in groups where there are people accepting full responsibility of people refusing to fill their own fucking cup
Mm-hmm.
with their own goddamn water. No. And so for me, I feel like I'm glad you
Mm-hmm.
brought that up
Mm-hmm.
because damn, that was on my mind.
I just look at
But
stuff like that. If it's excessive, I feel like it's like for me, it's a form of abuse and using people.
well,
Like always needing someone to come to your aid all the time. I
Mm-hmm.
look at it like
yep.
someone abusing you or using you. You
I feel like
know,
it could be looked at that.
yeah, that's what I feel. That's what I look
And
at
I
it.
think that's the hardest part. And I feel like I've struggled with that, not in this direct circle, but I've
Mm,
definitely struggled with being used as fuck. Like,
mm.
damn, bitch, you only call me
But
when
I
you need
think,
inspiration or
but
when you tapped out.
I think it goes
No.
back to the title accountability. If you accept accountability and if you have self awareness, it can solve a lot of problems and bring a lot of clarity
Mm-hmm.
into your situation. If you accept accountability and if you are self aware, because if you lack self awareness, you don't have no direction.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have no sense of direction. You don't know what you're doing, how you're gonna get there, what you're gonna do. And then at the same time, if you in this journey and you in this process, if you try something and it fails, it's okay.
Yep.
Learn from that mistake, see what didn't work and what did work, and just keep going. I think a lot of people are scared to fail, are
Mm-hmm.
scared to like take some steps and scared they might fall. That nobody wants to fall. Well, nobody wants to fail, but you
Mm-hmm.
learn.
Which is like carrying a drink at a
Bitch,
cocktail.
I was finna say, and then me, I feel like a bottle girl right now, bitch. Like, if I tumble, bitch, I just know that it better be cute
Let me
and
get
I
my
better
get
get
my.
back up. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I wasn't always in that headspace.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying? And so I do believe and I do want to say truthfully that you don't you don't get to this place overnight, right? But I do absolutely believe that there has to be a characteristic within you to go above and beyond whatever it is that it is. I mean, that of you trying to achieve what it is that you want for yourself. Like, remember that
Mhm.
guy that said, you want to be so successful so much that you like more than you want to breathe. I feel
Mhm.
like it's essentially equivalent to that because at the end of the day, like, that's how aggressive you got to be about it.
Mhm.
That's how serious you got to be about it, especially when other people aren't serious. Like, I y'all, I be so serious about CO. I be waiting for somebody to try me. Like, for real. All jokes aside, I be waiting on somebody to like disrespect the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Say I'm not what I am. Say we have not achieved what we have not achieved. Say, all of that. I'll be ready to correct people just because I want. We work hard for this, but
Mm-hmm.
also the women have worked hard for this. You get what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So put some respect on our name. But it's like I feel that are passionate about it, and I think if you ain't gonna go hard for you, who else gonna go hard for you?
Right.
Mhm. And I think that to get to the space, when you have done the hard work, if
Mm-hmm.
you've done it and you have somebody that is just pussyfooting, don't care, halfway, not really doing it. And then this is like, no, like I worked so hard to get to where I'm at. Do you know what
Do
I
you
had
know
to
how
go
much,
through
bitch?
to
Let
get
me let
to
me
get
speak
to
to
this?
that. Let me speak to that because I can actually speak on that. It is a slap in the face because let me tell you something somebody said to me the other day, and I didn't realize it, but I'm actually gonna take ownership. He said, "Do you understand? Do people know what it is how much of a privilege, excuse me, that it is for them to be friends with you and to see what it is that you're doing and still not have figured it out." So I'm glad you said that because literally that is the thought. It is a slap in the face. Like when people are literally like, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I know you're not taking it serious. I know you're not getting your ass up like you said you are. I know you're not putting those hours into the lab. And I feel like I'm someone that's really doing fashion. I consider myself to be that. So it's like it's not hobbying for me no more.
Right.
So when designers are literally like having these like little debacles and stuff, I've been through that. But I damn sure I'm so surpassed that it's like I
Mm-hmm.
can't be in that way of thinking. And it's like I find myself struggling in that space a lot because I don't feel in the space of a lot of y'all. You get what I'm saying? And this is truthfully, and I've struggled with how long do I continue to like literally pour into your cup and help you try to figure it out and you just choose not to level up. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
what I be feeling like. And I feel like literally what you said, I think for anybody that has a group of friends and we're all doing the same things and we're all talking about the same things, there's a level of expectation. Would you not agree? I feel like as
Absolutely.
friends,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh.
there's a level of
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
expectation that's required. And it's like, it's not fair for everybody to be getting their shit together and you still over there basically playing. It's like playing house or whatever. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
so we got to sit here and continue to have these starving artist conversations
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
when we're literally in the conversation of elevation and we're literally talking like business. Like, bitch, we're talking workflows. We're talking automation. We're no longer talking about like how hard it is to get up and go to the solar lab no more.
Mm-hmm.
That shit null and void.
Right.
But I feel like that's a lot of conversation for people. But for me, it's like, who the fuck can I pay to sew this week? Who the like? Do you get what I'm saying? And how
Mm-hmm.
much I'm gonna have to sew this week based off who I can get to help me.
Just talking
Mm-hmm.
about what you're doing as
Mm-hmm.
your work. Mm-hmm.
Literally. So I feel like even just as a designers, we have a certain, there has to be a certain level of honesty from within. Because when I did Christian on Michon, I thought I was like this person. I thought I was better than this person. And when I stopped and I looked at everything I was doing, I was like, girl, you don't even have your business set up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like I didn't even have my business set up, like basic things that
Mm-hmm.
really, you know what I'm saying, like can make and break how you excel and where you excel. And I just feel like, yeah, man, it just got to be some ownership and some honesty in this bitch. Cause yeah,
Mm-hmm.
nah, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah, accountability, most certainly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because I live my life taking accountability, and I always talk about my life a lot. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
fuck it, yeah, that's my brand. My lifestyle is my brand, and I talk about it. But live my life just taking accountability, even sometimes for things that I shouldn't even take accountability for. That builds this certain type of strength. That builds this discipline that I feel that I've always had
Yeah.
through my life, just trying to understand my way as a designer, not even listening to or letting what I saw other people, do
Mm-hmm.
online. Like it's like I ain't even understood it enough to be jealous, or
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
or to compare myself. It was just always like, oh my gosh, I know that I'm trying to reach for something. That's my focus, and
Mm-hmm.
anything else that came that took me off that, I knew that just wasn't what needed to. I
Like
knew
a
that's not where I
distraction.
needed to land my
Mm.
cup. You know what I
Yeah.
Bitch,
mean?
for real.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. I'm serious.
Yeah.
Go
Cause
ahead.
the old thought process for me, if you would have asked me, um, like we were talking before, what do you feel like is your roadblocks? What stop you?
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
My old answer would have been money. I don't got no capital. No, the real answer is you. You are the whatever robots is like for me. For I know for me personally,
Hmm.
I can get in my head like really bad about just everything. Like think so heavy. You know when we were talking about earlier about
Mm-hmm.
want to be so perfect, and
Hmm.
it can
Mm-hmm.
cause you to be delayed
Yeah.
because you so in your head, and it's like no, that ain't right. It got to be this way. But who says it has to be that certain way? It can be however I want it to be. I make the rules.
You can follow me on IG at Dequincy Lavar LLC, Facebook Dequincy Atterbury, and at www.dequincyatterbury.com.
That's like a major roadblock for me is that.
Yeah, I mean, like I
Mhm.
said, I feel like it goes back to self, and I think
Mhm.
that being an entrepreneur, and if you want to be an entrepreneur, you have to just truly reevaluate one, what sacrifices you are willing to make, but
Mhm.
also what investments you're willing to make.
Mhm.
I do think that you do have to get out your head. You have to kind of see your failures and stuff like you're gonna deal with the fear of the unknown, right? But you gotta see the
Mhm.
failures as like little mini roadblocks, but not like to the point like you know how somebody just push you and you just get back up right quick.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like I've had so many moments, and when I'm thinking back to it now, and I'm like, damn, there was so many moments where I thought I wasn't gonna make it or thought I wasn't gonna excel, and it was literally like so minute, like it was so small. But of course, in that moment, excuse me, in the moments it all felt big.
Right.
However, that just wasn't the case. And I feel like now, even still, though, and I'm saying this, it sounds lightly, things do feel bigger than what they are. But what I do have to realize is that they really aren't as big as we make them. Like sometimes we're more in our head, and it's
Mhm.
like we have more control over this than we think.
Mhm.
Mm.
Literally, like a lot of the shit that we want to do for our fashion brands is going to go exactly how you want it to go.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Your collection is going to go how you want it
Mhm.
to go. Like
Mhm.
it's so many variables, but it always depends on the person. And so for me, it goes back to accountability. Are you willing to take accountability for that collection,
Mhm.
for the color, for the
I
size
was gonna say
chart?
make accountability feel good, like change the feeling
Mm-hmm.
of taking accountability. Because for
Mm-hmm.
me,
Mhm.
like I get excited about like 'cause I'm sitting here staring up in the space
Taking
from this
charge.
conversation. Yeah, take it from this conversation. Just like thinking about like, dang, the things that I in my head that I know that I could do, to work on my business to make things better, things that I know that I haven't done, that I worked
Mhm.
on that I could just make things better. But that feeling of taking accountability and realizing that just makes me feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Yeah. I think that sewing is not the only thing.
Mhm.
I think that there's a huge operational part that's missing a lot of people's business.
Mhm.
I think that there is a website part that's
Mhm.
missing
Mhm.
for some people if they aspire to have that. Like so I'm just listing those things to say there's so many variables to being an entrepreneur, and people think
Mhm.
just going in there sewing, posting on Facebook is one.
Right, right.
Mhm.
My God, like when I tell you, when you start to actually put things in place, strategies, um, what you call them, policies, procedures, all those things. When you start to put those things in place, you start to realize that, damn,
Payments.
bitch, I wasn't really doing shit before. Like there's
Mhm.
so much
Mhm.
more that you could be doing. And
Mhm.
like I was saying before, you have to take accountability for the size chart, like the color. Like that's all a part of releasing that collection or
Mhm.
putting whatever that thing out is that you want to put out. You have to be able to be responsible for it. But I think a part of accountability is ownership, not being afraid to own whatever it is that you're doing, because as an entrepreneur, you do essentially get to kind of make things flow the way that you want to flow. And so
Mhm.
I kind of feel like when I'm seeing like rents and stuff of things not going the way that people want them to go,
Mhm.
I'm always wondering why are they not going how you want to go. You don't fucking work for nobody.
Mhm.
Do you get
Right.
what I'm saying? Even
Mhm.
if it took you 6 months
Mhm.
compared to 3 months. Do you get what I'm
Right.
saying? There's no reason why when you do that thing, it still
Mhm.
doesn't go the way that you want it to go.
Mhm.
And I think it's just all about how we see what it is that we do,
Mhm.
just all those things. And I'll
That's
just
so
leave that
true,
there.
girl.
Mhm.
It's just good. Just talking real life conversations, which I always just go back to the things that inspire me. Just hear you talking about saying like, "Oh my gosh, it didn't go how I wanted to go." Watching
Mm-hmm.
RuPaul's Drag Race, and one of the girls on there after the competition, they didn't rank as high as they thought they should have, and they were just saying like, "Oh my," and it was a challenge where they had to create their own outfit.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it didn't go quite like I wanted it to go. But in my head, I'm like, you was creating what it is that you were, what I'm saying, like you, whatever your vision was, like you had that, so why didn't it? You
And
know
I'm
what I'm
telling you,
saying?
I had to learn that shit the hard
So
way.
it just makes
Mhm.
so much
Every time I
sense.
did something and I looked at it,
Mhm.
and I'll just be sitting there picking it apart. And I'm just like, girl,
Mhm.
Mhm.
you didn't buy the materials that would make this. Like, you didn't do those things to make it happen. And that's why I just process. Hey Indies, it's your girl Ashontay here. If you're not already, make sure you're following me on all social media platforms. Christian underscore Omishan. That's OMESHUN. Peace. Bruh, it's just gonna be a little bit extra money, but you gonna thank yourself later if you just do what you want to do because you're in full control. And every time I try to I'm gonna just dumb this down or whatever. Like if it truly wasn't the idea, I
Mhm.
just want a solid background for this shoot. If that truly wasn't the idea, my thought process now is Do whatever it takes, which is why I just ain't dropped the bridal collection, because I think essentially I feel like I know how I want to do it. You already know how this go, even though I feel like it's more expensive, just
Mhm.
all those things. And there's variables, right, that I might have to consider that I didn't consider before. I just feel like just do it how you want to do it. You're going to feel better, and you know you'll be true to yourself if you do it that way instead of just trying to jump in, copy what
Mhm.
I see, and just whatever. So
What's the point of it all?
I'm just going to leave y'all with accountability is one of the truest things. I feel like the truest, I don't know. I almost feel like, do you think accountability is a gift? Because everybody don't take accountability, bitch. And I mean, like, even when you try to sit them down, have
I feel like
interventions
if
and
you
all
don't have
that.
it, it's a character flaw.
I
It's
But
a
I'm
mean,
like,
character
it's a
thing.
I do
If you
think it's
don't
one of
have
those
it,
characteristic things.
it can be a gift, yeah.
I do think it's one of those characteristic things that you have to truly own.
Mhm.
And I just think that if you want to be an entrepreneur or a designer, there has to be a certain level of discipline, just all those things, before you can even exceed or excel to that next level of entrepreneurship. You get what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like, you have to be able to see yourself and be responsible for yourself in the beginning
Mhm.
hmm
before you like really able to take it to the next step.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
I would I would want to leave. I always say these two sayings, and yes, they're mine. One of them is create to inspire and inspire to create. It's almost like which one comes first, the chicken or the egg? You can't have one without the other. And if you're giving, almost like pouring into the cups, this is what I was thinking about and saving this for now. Pouring into the
hmm
cups without creating, you have to be inspired, and when you are inspired you create. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
continuing that cycle, you will always be pouring into somebody's cup and somebody always be pouring into yours.
Yeah,
hmm
And the other is
I like that.
with passion comes purpose, and with purpose comes passion.
hmm
Because whatever it is that you're passionate about, there's a purpose of
That's
why
it.
you are passionate about it.
Okay.
There's a purpose of why you're passionate about it, and then with that passion, you have that purpose, which a lot of people fight for. Their passion, which is their
hmm
purpose.
I think um being an entrepreneur, it really will show you who you really are
Mm-hmm.
and who you are not. um
Yeah.
in taking accountability, I feel like is a big characteristic that someone has, but it's okay when you take a reflection and look at yourself. And if you don't like what you see, you can simply change it. It's
That's
really
right.
just that simple. So it's just like you said, if you get to a point where you are feeling like you are uninspired, you can go back to your why and why am I doing this? And you will find out why you're doing it, and it will help motivate you and kind of refuel you, put the fire back under you. So it's okay if you have to step back and reset your mindset, because
Mm-hmm.
it starts in your mind first, and then you're gonna take action, do what needs to be done.
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up too bad, honey. Just keep going.
I definitely wouldn't
Period.
beat myself up. I definitely think that if anything, I would just really take what she said. It's okay to regroup. It's okay to reset. But I think accountability just starts with that. Literally get in front of them like, damn, bitch.
Mhm.
They done got on my ass, but I'm gonna get my ass up, or I'm gonna write down tonight after this podcast,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna go ahead and take these notes, and I'm gonna do what I gotta do so that I can have a successful week. And
Mhm.
that's
Hmm.
pretty much it. So we're gonna wrap it up for tonight, you guys. Have a blessed night. Peace.
Yes,
Look,
Cheers.
honey.
glasses up.
Oh,
Hey,
and I
that might
like
be the
this
way
one.
we need to end that one.
Okay.
Glasses up, you guys.
Okay.
Another
Cheers.
ride.
Yeah.